Welcome back to Bull and Thread. Let's talk about the Ringelmann effect today. I want to talk about why bigger groups sometimes do less. And it's an interesting thing because I am one who has a tendency toward consensus building. I like to have sort of flat organizations and teams, and I like to get the input from different people. That's partly because I've spent a lot of time realizing that some of the best ideas are silenced just because of structure and hierarchy and other things like that. And I want to make sure that I can find ways to get those best ideas. And yet there's also this tension of having to get things done and get them done well and get them done quickly. And this happens in the workplace. It happens in teams when you're trying to accomplish something in a competition, or you're in those literal or metaphorical treasure hunts in your life. So the Ringelmann effect is one that argues simply that bigger groups oftentimes seem to get less done. And it seems a little bit counterintuitive. You figure that if you have 5 people, they're obviously not going to be able to get done as much as 20 people. And the problem is there's a diminishing return component. Yes, it's true that 3 people might be able to get done more than one person, and 5 might be able to get more done than 3 people. But as that number begins to increase, you start to hit this point where it's going to require a different system, more structure in terms of organizing things, or you're going to have smaller teams in order to make some progress. And this is true in gameplay, it's true in life, it's true in work. So here are 5 things that we can draw kind of from the research on what we can do to address the Ringelmann effect. The first one is be alert when you find yourself slacking more in large groups. So pay attention to yourself and challenge other people to do so. It's really easy when you're in a large group to feel less of a sense of responsibility sometimes. So you have more and more people, and people begin to have this subtle assumption that someone else will get it done. And the problem is that doesn't happen oftentimes, and so nobody does it. That's why you can find yourself in a situation where something really critical needs to get accomplished and no one is actually stepping up, or it's only 1 or 2 people, or the same people who always seem to be stepping up. The second one is a very practical one, very simple. You could probably guess this one. Shrink the group. So work in smaller teams when possible. Now, if you have a group that's trying to tackle some big treasure hunt or problem or project, that's fine. But break up into smaller groups and have each group have a specific goal or task or priority. Or maybe you could even have 3 or 4 groups that have the same goal or task, but you're going to do the work independent and then compare notes later. So you're doing a lot of the work in the smaller groups and they can kind of come together. Third one is assign yourself roles. So one thing that's been found to be really effective when you're working in teams, and it's even more important the more people you have involved, is that people know their role. It's not just everyone coming together to try to accomplish the same sort of group goals. You have your group goals, and then you have your individual roles and responsibilities. And those roles and responsibilities help kind of roll into achieving the larger goals. And that can be really important. Fourth one then is track contributions. Now, this is not about just a blame game or blaming people or comparing, hey, I did more than you did. But the research is quite clear, is that if you keep a visual record of individual accomplishments and individual progress, it's going to contribute to the team making more progress as well. And you can have those caring and candid individual conversations with individuals that seem to be not stepping up, not accomplishing their work, so you can get that done. And when you build a kind of culture like this, it's not something that's a gotcha culture where you're always just sort of threatening other people, or you're feeling afraid that you're going to get docked for not getting enough done. It can be a sense of sort of shared accountability. We all know that we have a role. It's a sense of team. It's a sense that I'm contributing and I see it, and it's documented and it's being tracked. And so that can be a really good thing. And I know this sounds like it's something that's just work related, but this works well in teams and all sorts of things. Then the fifth one is to simulate this with games. So notice how group size changes behavior in play environments and game environments. So you can get a better sense of how optimal sizes work for different kinds of tasks by actually trying some different game simulations and trying some different kinds of tasks together as a team. This is why, if you go to high-performing teams and organizations, they often do team building activities. And some people think that those are fluffy activities that don't get a lot of results, but they do, and that's why people keep doing them. Is you can build a sense of how to work together as a team and how to take on different roles and responsibilities toward a shared goal by being in these simulated environments and testing things out. I've worked for some pretty high-profile clients even over the years, some brand names that you would know very, very well, and they do this with their leadership teams and with their groups. I've worked with a very, very well-known publisher, probably one of the most well-known publishing names, at least in the business world, in the United States or maybe even in the world, and they did these kind of simulation games, and it helps. It helps you get to know yourself better, get to know your teammates better, get a better sense of what works or what doesn't when you're trying to accomplish goals, and then you step into the real game of the real world, and that helps. That's why athletic teams have practices, and they don't just go to the games without any practice. So you want to create these kinds of simulated environments. You do these 5 things, and it's going to help you address that Ringelmann effect where larger groups start to get less done. Hope you find this useful. I look forward to your comments.